It began as a whisper through the South China Sea, an odd radar signature appearing near the Bashi Channel, where the Pacific meets the edge of Taiwan's defense zone. For days, analysts in Hawaii, Tokyo, and Taipei watched the signal flicker in and out, like a ghost too fast to be tracked. Then came the confirmation that no one wanted to believe. China had deployed its first wave of hypersonic reconnaissance drones, machines capable of Mach 7 speeds and near-invisible flight profiles. The mission? Surveillance runs over Taiwan's air defense network. At first, the movements seemed routine. A few scrambled F-16s from Taiwan, some satellite adjustments by the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, standard procedure. But then, something extraordinary happened. Within hours of the Chinese drones entering the area, U.S. carrier strike groups, the USS Ronald Reagan, USS Theodore Roosevelt, and USS Abraham Lincoln, vanished from radar. Every sensor that had been tracking them suddenly went dark. It wasn't sabotage. It wasn't weather. It was as if the Pacific itself had swallowed 3 of the most powerful war machines on Earth. Inside the Pentagon, tension was palpable. Secure lines to the 7th Fleet crackled with confusion. "We've lost visual and radar contact with all 3 groups," one officer reported. AIS beacons down, thermal signatures blank, and satellite reflection readings 0. For a full 30 minutes, the United States Navy, the most advanced naval force in human history, appeared to have disappeared. China's drones, meanwhile, were only just beginning their run. Built under the Tianying Program, they were hypersonic gliders capable of traveling 20 miles above sea level while mapping electronic signatures in real time. Each drone carried quantum communication nodes, allowing it to transmit data without interception. Their flight path traced an invisible line across Taiwan's airspace before turning south, right over the last known coordinates of the U.S. carriers. At the Air Operations Center in Kadena, Okinawa, radar technicians thought they were seeing a glitch. The sea looked blank. No carrier shadows. No escort destroyers. Even the telltale electromagnetic hum of carrier-based systems, normally impossible to hide, was gone. The Chinese drones had either found a way to jam U.S. sensors completely, or the carriers had activated something far more secret. In Washington, the Situation Room erupted in debate. Some believed the carriers had gone radio silent intentionally, invoking Black Phantom Protocol, a classified stealth maneuver rumored to make entire naval groups vanish from enemy detection grids. Others feared something more sinister, that China's new hypersonic drones weren't just surveillance platforms, but electromagnetic warfare units capable of neutralizing radar across hundreds of miles. Meanwhile, in Beijing, General Liu Cheng of the People's Liberation Army Air Force received live feeds from the drones. The images were stunning. Clear views of the Philippine Sea, heat trails from Japanese patrol aircraft, and an eerie black void where the American carriers should have been. "They are gone," Liu asked. His aide nodded. "Completely. No signals, no transponder, no reflection." For a moment, even the general hesitated. "Impossible," he muttered. "Nothing just disappears." But the U.S. Navy had been preparing for this. Deep beneath the Pacific, an experimental command system was being tested, Project Specter, a stealth integration that linked surface ships with submerged relay drones. The idea was to make carrier groups digitally disappear, masking radar, sonar, and even satellite reflections by redirecting emissions into the deep ocean. It was the naval equivalent of a cloaking device, and this was its first real test. China's hypersonic drones had unknowingly triggered it. From Guam, the U.S. Cyber Command initiated countermeasures, launching Phantom Return, a digital decoy operation that fed false coordinates into every Chinese sensor in the region. Within minutes, the Tianying drones began to pick up ghost signals, entire fleets appearing in the wrong places, including one supposedly near Hainan Island and another near Shanghai. Confusion rippled through China's Southern Theater Command. Their operators couldn't tell which signals were real. But as the deception unfolded, both nations found themselves locked in a dangerous game of escalation. Taiwan's radar picked up the hypersonic drones again, this time lower, barely 30 kilometers above the island's northern defense zone. Taiwan's president ordered immediate scrambling of its Mirage 2000 fighters, while US F-35 P-35BS from the amphibious assault ship USS America prepared to intercept. The Pacific was on a knife's edge. Then, an unexpected phenomenon occurred. The hypersonic drones suddenly dropped altitude at supersonic speed, performing a maneuver that defied known aerodynamics. Their flight pattern formed a spiral over the Taiwan Strait, almost ritualistic, before shooting eastward and disappearing beyond radar range. Moments later, sensors across the region blinked back to life. The U.S. carriers reappeared on satellite feeds, moving calmly, deliberately, as if nothing had happened. Pentagon analysts were stunned. The radar blackout had lasted 57 minutes, long enough to trigger international alarm. NATO allies had gone on alert, Japan scrambled its Aegis destroyers, and even Australia elevated its readiness level. The official explanation released later was a temporary communications and radar malfunction. But inside defense circles, everyone knew the truth ran deeper. Intelligence intercepts later revealed that the Chinese drones had used electromagnetic phase-canceling technology, essentially creating pockets of radar silence by reflecting signals against atmospheric layers. But the U.S. carriers had countered with an advanced algorithm that bent their own electromagnetic signatures into the ocean's surface, rendering them invisible to detection. It was a duel of physics as much as strategy, a silent war fought in the spectrum rather than the battlefield. In Beijing, the PLA declared success. State media broadcast headlines proclaiming, "Hypersonic eyes dominate Pacific skies," claiming their drones had forced American carriers into retreat. In Washington, however, the mood was colder. Intelligence agencies quietly confirmed that China's drones had indeed mapped parts of Taiwan's air defense network, but their mission had been cut short once the U.S. activated Specter. The Chinese had learned something new, but so had the Americans. For the next 48 hours, the Pacific theater became eerily quiet. Chinese warships slowed their patrols. American carriers held formation near Guam, but stayed silent. No official statements were released. Only commercial flight radars caught subtle clues, restricted air corridors, rerouted cargo flights, and unusual no-fly zones stretching over the Philippine Sea. Behind closed doors, military analysts pored over data from the encounter. The drone speeds had exceeded Mach 6.8 at peak, and they demonstrated unprecedented maneuverability, able to change direction mid-flight without losing altitude. U.S. experts warned that such drones could one day carry not just cameras, but hypersonic warheads or EMP devices. "They've merged surveillance and offense," one general said grimly. Next time, they might not just be watching. Meanwhile, at Pearl Harbor, sailors aboard the USS Ronald Reagan watched the Pacific sunrise as if nothing had happened. The crew knew they'd been part of something historic, an invisible confrontation that would never make the evening news. One officer summed it up quietly. "They found us, so we vanished. That's the new battlefield." In Taipei, leaders convened emergency talks with U.S. defense liaisons. Taiwan's early warning systems had picked up only fragments of the hypersonic drone's flight paths, proving how vulnerable they were to next-generation threats. Plans were immediately drawn to accelerate satellite collaboration with Japan and the U.S., creating a multi-layered detection net stretching from Okinawa to the Luzon Strait. By the end of the week, the global media had moved on. Discussions of trade summits and diplomatic statements filled the airwaves. But inside think tanks and war rooms, analysts understood what had truly happened: the dawn of a new kind of warfare. Battles no longer fought with missiles or troops, but with frequency manipulation, quantum interference, and deception technology so advanced it could erase fleets from existence. The Pentagon issued one cryptic statement days later. "All carrier groups remain operational and mission-ready," it read. "We maintain full situational awareness across the Pacific." It was meant to reassure the public, but within the intelligence community, everyone knew it was a warning aimed directly at Beijing. In China, the reaction was equally complex. The test had proven the drones worked, but it also revealed America's hidden hand. The PLA's technological edge was narrower than they thought. General Liu's report to the Central Military Commission was blunt. "We blinded them for less than 1 hour. They blinded us for days."